You ever get that gut feeling? That little voice that tells you something's not right, even when everything looks perfect on the surface? I'd learned to trust mine over the years. Building bridges and structures in tough conditions teaches you to spot a weak foundation, a potential collapse, before anyone else does. Turns out that applies to families too. My name is Anna. I'm an engineer, specializing in structural integrity. It's a demanding job. Takes me all over, but it pays well. I've worked hard for everything I have. Maybe that's why I became the family's unofficial ATM over the past 15 years or so. Vacations? Anna paid. Mom's new car? Anna helped significantly. Unexpected bills? Just ask Anna. She has plenty. It wasn't all begrudgingly. I love my family. My parents, Eleanor and George, my older sister, Chloe, and her husband, Tom. I wanted to help, especially with their house. It was the family home I grew up in, getting older, needing work. I'd poured a significant amount of money into renovations over the years. A new roof, updated plumbing, landscaping. My latest contribution was covering the huge cost of a major kitchen and living room remodel they desperately wanted. We were talking over $100,000 for this phase, and I'd wired the final chunk of the money just last month. The renovation was finally finished, and the house looked incredible. Despite the financial support, I always felt slightly on the outside. My career was unfeminine. My unmarried status at 38 was a constant topic of concern, thinly veiled as criticism. I was the successful one, the generous one, but never quite enough. Always the practical one, the rescuer, but lacking in the things they seem to value: a traditional life, social ease, fitting into a certain mold. Chloe, on the other hand, was the charming, popular one, married to Tom, who worked in finance and was good with numbers. The kind of man my parents openly admired. It was early December, cold outside. But inside, the house was warm and smelled of pine and cinnamon. We were getting ready for the big annual family Christmas party, a huge affair Mom always threw. I was helping Mom decorate the living room, hanging garlands, arranging ornaments. It was nice. Feeling useful. Feeling home. The new living room had these big, beautiful windows. They were sealed tight to keep the heat in. As I was hanging a string of lights near one, I noticed a small section of garland that had twisted. I needed to reach it properly. So I unlatched the window just a crack to lean out slightly and fix it. The cold air hit my face, sharp and sudden. And then I heard voices from just below the window, near the patio. Mom and Chloe. They probably thought the windows were sealed, that no one could hear them over the quiet Christmas music playing inside. I froze. They were talking about me. And once Anna pays for the last of the kitchen cabinets, that's it. Mom's voice, low and conspiratorial. We'll tell her the project went over budget. We need the money back. And that's the last check she writes. Finally. Chloe sighed, sounding relieved, almost giddy. Honestly, I don't know how much longer I could keep pretending. All those texts asking for money? Exactly. Mom agreed. It's been 34 years. 34 years I've had to manage her expectations, keep her contributing. All those trips, helping with your cars, and this house. It's enough. My heart started pounding. 34 years? I'd been actively supporting them for maybe 15. Since I finished grad school and started earning real money, 34 years was my whole life. What was she talking about? And once the renovation is officially complete, and we finalize the paperwork, Mom continued, her voice hardening. We'll make it clear. The inheritance is staying here, with you and Tom. Anna gets nothing. She has her own money. She doesn't need this house. Good, Chloe said, her voice sharp. It's only fair. We're the ones who stayed, who dealt with everything here. She was always off, building things. Like, that's a real life. Then, Mom laughed. a cold, brittle sound I barely recognized. Honestly, sometimes I wonder what she even does with her money besides send it to us. Living alone, no family of her own. Probably just hoards it. Sad, really. Yeah. Chloe chuckled. The unfeminine engineer playing with her spreadsheets. Who's she going to leave it to? She'll probably just die alone. My blood ran cold. Die alone. Unfeminine engineer. ATM. 34 years of managing my expectations. Inheritance. Cutting me off. The garland slipped from my fingers, hitting the snow outside with a soft thud. I pulled my head back in, quietly latched the window, my hands shaking. They weren't just ungrateful. They saw me as a resource to be exploited, a problem to be solved once the resource was depleted. They had been planning this for a long time, apparently. If Mom's comment about 34 years was accurate in spirit, if not in literal timeline of financial support, they were talking about discarding me, about my life, my career, my future, with casual contempt and cruel jokes. In that moment, standing by the window, the smell of pine needles and cold air filling my lungs, something inside me didn't just break. It hardened, like concrete setting around a steel rebar frame. The shock, the pain, the disbelief, they were still there. A raw wound. But beneath it, a cold, quiet fury was building. They wanted to cut me off after taking everything they could? They wanted to discard me like a used tool? Fine. But I wasn't leaving quietly. I wasn't leaving empty-handed. Having funded their life and my own dismissal, I would get my money back. And they would regret every dismissive word, every calculated lie. I wiped the tears that had silently tracked down my face, took a deep breath, and put on a smile. I walked back into the living room, humming along to the Christmas music, pretending I hadn't heard a single thing. The party was still on, but the guest list had just changed, at least in my mind. Over the next few days, Mom acted strange, more nervous than usual, overly solicitous, asking if I needed anything, if I liked the renovations. It felt fake, like she was trying to gauge if I suspected anything. It only confirmed what I'd overheard. Chloe was also avoiding eye contact. Her usual easy confidence replaced by a subtle tension around me. Tom was, as always, charming, but with that slick, calculating air about him. The Christmas party itself was surreal. I moved through the familiar rooms, filled with relatives and friends, smiling, making small talk. While inside, I felt utterly alien, disconnected. Every compliment on the beautiful new kitchen or gorgeous living room funded by my money felt like a fresh insult. I watched my family, seeing them through a new, cold lens. Their laughter felt hollow, their affections performative. That night, after everyone had gone home and the house was quiet, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. I needed proof. Undeniable proof. I knew Mom kept her laptop in her bedroom. It felt wrong, a violation of privacy, but they had already violated something far more fundamental: my trust, my relationship with them, my financial security. Ethics felt like a luxury I couldn't afford right now. This was about self-preservation and justice. I crept into their bedroom. Mom was a heavy sleeper. The laptop was on her desk. It wasn't password protected. Standard. Just like their expectation that I'd never look. My hands trembled as I opened her email. I searched for keywords. Inheritance. House. Renovation. Anna. Cut off. And then I found it. Emails between Mom and Tom. The emails between Mom and Tom weren't just confirming the plan. They were discussing the legalities. Tom, with his finance background, was advising Mom on how to legally sever my ties to the family finances and inheritance after the renovation was fully paid for. minimizing any potential claim I might have on the house or their assets based on my significant contributions over the years. He was actively helping them cut me out. The emails discussed timelines, phrasing, making sure everything looked legitimate on paper. It wasn't just a casual conversation, it was a calculated legal strategy. My stomach churned. My sister's husband, actively helping my mother disinherit me after I'd helped them both financially for years. I dug deeper. I looked at financial documents, bank statements accessible from Mom's computer. I compared recent statements to older ones. I discovered large, regular withdrawals and transfers from a separate account. The family travel fund account I had set up years ago and consistently funded with tens of thousands of dollars, specifically for family vacations, hoping we could make memories together. The money wasn't being used for travel. It was being systematically siphoned off. The statements showed transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Payments for things that weren't family expenses. Where was this money going? I checked Mom's texts on her phone, which was charging nearby, also unlocked. I searched names, numbers, and then I found them. Text messages with a contact saved simply as B. The messages were not family related. They were intimate, loving, secretive. They talked about meeting up, gifts, financial support. B wasn't just a friend. B was a secret partner, a lover. The messages referred to our future. When the house is ready. The money you sent? And then the final pieces clicked into place. A recent text mentioned meeting B for coffee near his office downtown. It mentioned the name of his building. A building I recognized. And the name Brant. Brant wasn't just a stranger. Brant was a friend of my father's. A longtime friend, actually. And a business associate on some minor ventures Dad was involved in years ago. A respectable family man. And Mom's secret lover. The money from the siphoned travel fund, and likely other funds, including perhaps some meant for the house renovation before I sent the final payment, was going to Brant, supporting him. Maybe even supporting a secret life they were planning once Mom felt financially secure after draining me dry through the renovation. The 34 years comment from Mom in the overheard conversation suddenly took on a terrifying new meaning. Had this affair been going on for decades? Had my family life, my parents' marriage, been a facade for years, with my money potentially supporting this secret life? The discoveries hit me in waves. Tom's legal complicity, the siphoned travel fund, the secret lover, the identity of the lover as my father's friend, the implication of a decades-long deception involving my mother and potentially affecting my parents' marriage far more deeply than I knew. It was a nest of lies, deceit, and betrayal. Far beyond simple greed. I spent the rest of the night meticulously documenting everything. Screenshots of the emails with Tom, the texts with Brant, the bank statements showing the siphoned funds, the detailed logs of my own contributions to the house over the years, especially the $120,000 for this final renovation phase, carefully noting previous contributions as well, totaling hundreds of thousands over 15 years. I saved everything to a secure cloud drive and a separate encrypted USB stick. I knew I needed legal advice. I couldn't confront them without understanding my rights and options. I found a lawyer specializing in financial disputes and family law, separate from anyone my family might know. I met with her, presented the documented evidence and my story. She confirmed I had a strong case for recovering the funds contributed to the house based on implied contract or unjust enrichment, given their stated plan to cut me off immediately after the payment. However, proving the full extent of betrayal, the affair, the siphoned funds, was complex legally without more direct, irrefutable links or admissions. The emails and texts were powerful, but sometimes considered circumstantial or open to interpretation in court, especially without context like audio recordings. She advised me on the difficulty and cost of litigation, especially against family. She was hesitant about the overheard conversation as primary evidence, as it could be argued as not legally obtained. That's when I made the difficult decision. I had the emails, the texts, the statements, but they could still lie, twist the narrative, claim misunderstanding. I needed proof that came directly from their mouths, confirming their intent, confirming their plans. I needed recordings. I knew it was crossing an ethical boundary, installing listening devices in their home, but they had already crossed every boundary imaginable with me. They planned to steal from me, discard me, and mock my life. They were living a massive lie, involving my father and his friend, potentially for years. They were dangerous, and I needed to protect myself and expose the full truth. My lawyer didn't advise me to do this, but she didn't tell me not to either. She simply reiterated the legal complexities of evidence gathering. I made the choice myself. I ordered tiny, easily concealed listening devices online. During a quick visit a few days later, under the guise of picking up some mail, I planted one in the living room, behind a painting, and one in the kitchen, inside a decorative vase. I also placed a small camera, disguised as a clock, in a discreet spot in Mom's bedroom, angled towards her desk and phone charging station. It felt illicit, terrifying, but also necessary. A cold, strategic move in a war they had started. While waiting for the recordings, I decided to test Mom. We were talking on the phone. I casually mentioned seeing someone who looked like Brant downtown. "Oh? Brant?" Mom's voice immediately became tight, a little breathless. "Where? Where did you see him?" "Just near the financial district. Looked like he was coming out of that big glass building." "Funny. I didn't know he worked down there." "Oh, right. Yes. He does some consulting there sometimes." Small world. She quickly changed the subject, her voice fluttering nervously. Her reaction confirmed my suspicion. The recordings started coming in. Hours of mundane family conversations, intermixed with chilling confirmations of the conspiracy. I heard Mom on the phone with Chloe, discussing how glad they were the kitchen was done and how much money I'd put into it, and how they needed to implement the plan soon to finalize the inheritance transfer with Tom. They laughed about my comment about seeing Brant, thinking I suspected nothing about that, while missing the obvious signs about their financial scheming. I heard Tom on the phone with Mom, discussing the legal wording to make sure I couldn't claim any stake in the house based on my contributions. He was meticulous, cold, utterly professional about cutting me off. And then I caught the phone call between Mom and Brant via the camera's audio feed in her room. It was intimate, undeniable. They talked about their plans, their future together. Once everything is settled, how they could finally be free after the financial situation, meaning my money completing the house, was sorted. It wasn't just an affair. It was a long-term relationship based, at least in part, on my mother's financial maneuvering, potentially using my father's friend to facilitate her exit strategy from her marriage and family life. All while I funded the very house she planned to leave, and the man she planned to leave with. The depravity of it was staggering. I continued to play the part of the dutiful, unsuspecting daughter. I even helped Mom plan Chloe's upcoming 40th birthday party, a significant family event. Mom wanted it to be perfect. A big dinner at the house, showcasing the beautiful new renovation. The irony was not lost on me. This party, in the house I largely paid for, would be the setting for the final act. I compiled everything into a presentation. The spreadsheet detailing every dollar I'd spent on the house over the years, verified with bank statements, the screenshots of emails and texts, the damning audio recordings, edited down to the most incriminating segments. Mom and Chloe discussing cutting me off, Tom advising on legal removal, Mom and Brant discussing their future after the house is done. I loaded it all onto a tablet. I rehearsed my delivery. I wouldn't yell or cry. I would be calm, factual, and in control. I would deliver the truth with the precision of an engineer, dismantling their carefully constructed lies piece by piece. I chose my outfit carefully for Chloe's birthday dinner. A sharp, professional dress, Powerful, but understated. On the afternoon of the party, I arrived a little early. The house was immaculate. The table set beautifully in the renovated dining room adjacent to the new living room. The air was filled with the smell of catered food. I helped Mom with some last-minute things. She seemed excited, a little fluttery. As I finished setting out place cards, I heard her talking on the phone in the kitchen. It was Brant. "Yes, everything is going perfectly," she cooed. "The house looks wonderful, and Anna paid for the last of it. Just a little more time, darling, and then freedom. Our future starts very soon." She hung up, smiling serenely. She had no idea. She believed her plan was flawless, her tracks covered, her new life just within reach, thanks to my $500,000 and my father's blindness. The guests arrived, not the big Christmas party crowd, but the inner circle. Mom, Eleanor, Dad, George, Chloe, and Tom, and me. We sat down at the dining table, beautifully set with the best china and crystal, a centerpiece of expensive flowers. All in the house, in the rooms I had paid to create. I sat at the head of the table, not by accident. I took my place, feeling a calm, resolute power settle over me. Mom beamed. Chloe laughed easily, looking happy, ready to be celebrated. Tom was charming, complimenting Mom on the house. Dad looked content, enjoying the atmosphere. "All right, everyone?" I said, my voice cutting through the pleasantries, clear and firm. I held up my wine glass. They all looked at me, expecting a toast to Chloe. "I'd like to propose a toast," I said. "To family, to loyalty, and to the truth. The truth behind this beautiful renovation, and the truth about what family really means." Their smiles faltered slightly, sensing a different tone than expected. But they raised their glasses anyway. We all took a sip. "Before we celebrate Chloe's birthday," I continued, setting my glass down deliberately, "there's something important we need to discuss. A family financial matter, an urgent one." Mom's eyes widened slightly. Chloe frowned. Tom's gaze sharpened. Dad looked confused. "I've prepared a short presentation," I said, pulling out my tablet. I connected it wirelessly to the large TV screen mounted on the living room wall, strategically angled to be visible from the dining table. The screen flickered to life, showing my name and the title, Family Financial Review and Accountability. "Anna, what is this?" Mom asked. Her voice strained. "Just a review." "Mom, of where our family finances have truly been going," I said, my tone neutral. "Specifically, focusing on my contributions over the years and the plans surrounding them." I clicked to the first slide. The audio recording icon appeared. "This is a conversation recorded a few weeks ago, right here in the living room. Mom and Chloe." I pressed play. Their voices, muffled but clearly audible, filled the room. "Once Anna pays for the last of the kitchen cabinets, that's it. We'll tell her the project went over budget. We need the money back, and that's the last check she writes." Finally, honestly, I don't know how much longer I could keep pretending. "We'll make it clear. The inheritance is staying here with you and Tom. Anna gets nothing. The unfeminine engineer playing with her spreadsheets? Who's she going to leave it to? She'll probably just die alone." The recording stopped. Silence. Absolute, stunned silence. Chloe was pale, her eyes darting between Mom and me. Mom looked like she was about to faint, her face white. Dad stared at the screen, then at Mom, a look of utter disbelief and hurt on his face. Tom was frozen, his smile gone. "As you can hear," I said, my voice still calm. "That was a discussion about cutting me off financially and disinheriting me, immediately after I finished paying for this renovation. And a rather cruel assessment of my life and career." I clicked to the next slide. Screenshots of texts between Mom and B, redacted names, but the intimate language, the references to our future. After the house is done. The money. These are text messages from Mom's phone to a contact saved as B. Mom gasped. A small, choked sound. Next slide. I continued. A spreadsheet appeared, detailing every major payment I'd made to the house over the years, highlighting the $120,000 for this final renovation, and the hundreds of thousands before that. This is a summary of my financial contributions to this house alone. Over $400,000 over the past 15 years, including the final $120,000 for the beautiful new kitchen and living room we're sitting in right now. I clicked again. Bank statements showing large withdrawals from the family travel fund account I funded. Dates and amounts. These are withdrawals from the travel fund I set up. Money intended for family memories. It wasn't used for travel. Next slide. Email screenshots between Mom and Tom. Discussions about legally cutting me off, structuring inheritance, mentioning my contributions as a potential legal complication to be avoided. Emails between Mom and Tom discussing how to legally remove me from the family inheritance and ensure I have no claim on the house, despite my significant investment. Tom flinched. His gaze met mine for a second, fear mixed with anger. I looked at my father. He hadn't said a word since the first recording, his face a mask of shock. "Dad," I said, my voice softer, but no less firm. "Did you know about this? Did you know Mom was planning to cut me off? Did you know about the money she was siphoning from the travel fund? And did you know about B?" Dad just stared at me, then at Mom. His eyes were filled with pain and confusion. I clicked the next slide. More texts between Mom and Brant, more explicit references to a future together, plans made, finances discussed, directly linked to when the house is finished. These texts confirm Mom's plans for a new life. With B, a life she was planning to start, using the financial security gained from this house renovation, which I paid for. Then I dropped the final bombs. Next slide. A photo appeared on the screen. A man. A smiling man. "This is Brant. B, Mom's secret partner." I paused. "You know Brant, don't you, Dad?" Dad nodded slowly, a dawning horror on his face. "Brant? Brant Peterson?" "That's right," I confirmed. "Your friend, your former business associate." The color drained from Dad's face completely. Betrayed by his wife. Betrayed by his friend. The depth of the deception hit him like a physical blow. "But it gets worse," I said, my voice unwavering. "Brant isn't single. He has a wife I met with yesterday, and she was very interested to learn about Brant's long-term plans for a new life with Eleanor once her financial situation was sorted out." Chaos erupted. Mom finally found her voice, a high-pitched, desperate wail. "Anna, no, it's not like that. It's a misunderstanding. You're twisted. You're making this up." She started crying, tears streaming down her face, the same strategic tears I'd seen her use for years to get her way. Chloe was hyperventilating, staring at Tom. Tom was fumbling for his phone under the table, likely trying to delete messages, cover his tracks. Dad exploded. "Eleanor, what the hell is she talking about? Brant, my friend? Our money? Is this true?" Mom tried to reach for him, still wailing. "George, no, she's lying. It's not what it looks like." "It's exactly what it looks like." "Mom." I stated coldly, "It's a decades-long deception. You saw me as your personal ATM, funding your life, your luxuries, this house, and likely your secret relationship. You criticized my career, my life choices, while you were living a lie and plotting to discard me once I was no longer financially useful. 34 years, you said? Was this facade going on for 34 years? Dad, don't listen to her. She's crazy," Chloe shrieked, Her face red. Tom looked up from his phone. Anna, you can't prove half of this. Overheard conversations aren't admissible. And illegally obtained recordings? Actually, Tom, I interrupted, giving him a hard look. In this state, a party to a conversation can record without the other person's knowledge if there is a reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, like fraud or theft, and discussing how to illegally disinherit someone after taking hundreds of thousands of dollars could fall under that. But even if the recordings aren't admissible in court, the emails between you and Mom, the texts between Mom and Brant, the bank statements, my detailed financial records of contributions, all of that is, and I have backups, securely stored, in multiple locations. Your advice on cutting me off? That makes you complicit. Tom, and your attempt to destroy evidence right now? I think the mediator, or perhaps a judge, would find that very interesting. Tom froze, his face going ashen. He had underestimated me. He thought my engineering brain was just for building things, not for strategic planning and evidence gathering. Dad, meanwhile, was in a full-blown rage. He looked around the beautiful dining room, the room I paid for, the room where his wife had plotted his betrayal with his friend and his children had plotted against their own sister. With a roar, he swept his arm across the table. Glass shattered, plates flew, food splattered against the newly painted walls. The centerpiece crashed to the floor, wine stained the new rug. The beautiful room was instantly a scene of utter devastation. Mom screamed, scrambling back. Chloe recoiled, terrified. Tom backed away from the table, eyes wide. Dad stood there, breathing hard, amidst the wreckage of the dinner, and perhaps the wreckage of his life. I stood perfectly still, calm in the center of the storm. The chaos outside me mirrored the chaos that had been hidden beneath the surface of our family for years. There's nothing left to say, I said, my voice quiet but carrying clearly through the silence that followed Dad's outburst. I walked over to the front door, unlocked it, and opened it wide, letting the cold December air rush in. Get out, I said, looking at each of them in turn. All of you, get out of my house. Dad walked out first, a broken man, not looking at anyone. I stood by the door as Chloe and Tom scrambled to gather their coats, shooting me looks of hatred and fear. I didn't touch them, just gestured them out. Then it was just Mom and me, standing in the ruined dining room, the silence punctuated by her whimpering. She looked around, her face a mask of disbelief and panic. Anna? Where are you going? What are you going to do? I've already made arrangements. Mom, I said, my voice flat. I have a place to stay tonight, and a new place lined up. She finally seemed to understand the depth of my planning. You planned this? All of this? I learned from the best. Mom, I said, a cold edge to my voice. You taught me how to plan strategically, how to use resources, how to manage expectations, and how to prepare for every eventuality. You'll regret this, Anna. She spat, her tears momentarily forgotten, replaced by venom. You'll be alone, just like I said. Maybe, I conceded, meeting her gaze unflinchingly. But at least I won't be living a lie. And I won't be a thief. I turned and walked out, leaving her standing there amidst the broken china and spilled wine in the house I paid for. I closed the door quietly behind me. I slept soundly that night in a quiet hotel room. The chaos of the evening was cleansing. The next day, I went back to the house, accompanied by a couple of movers I hired. I took only my essential belongings, my engineering tools and equipment, my business files, clothes, photo albums, personal mementos. Anything I had specifically bought for the house, the furniture, the decorations, I left behind. It was theirs now. with all the stained walls and broken glass. I left the keys on the kitchen counter, next to a note stating that any future communication must go through my lawyer. I had already secured a comfortable apartment near my office. For the next 2 weeks, I focused on settling into my new place, immersing myself in work, and staying offline. I needed distance, peace. The messages started eventually. 14 from Mom in the first week alone, a mix of furious accusations, desperate pleas, tearful apologies, and blaming Brant. She revealed Brant had cut off contact completely after his wife found out. Her planned future had collapsed around her. I didn't respond to any of them directly. Instead, I sent a single, formal message to Mom. All communication regarding financial matters, the house, or any other issues must go through my legal counsel. Lawyer's name at lawyer's firm, phone number, email. I have also filed for a temporary restraining order. Then came a message from Chloe. Surprisingly, apologetic at first, saying how shocked she was, how she didn't know the full extent, but quickly shifting back to the familiar pattern. We're still family. Anna, this can be fixed. Maybe Tom can offer some legal advice to sort things out. Even in crisis, she was still trying to use me or Tom's expertise. I forwarded Chloe's message to Mr. Chen and instructed him to add Chloe and Tom to the request for restraining orders. I didn't want them contacting me either. Their apologies felt like just another tactic. Dad was silent for a few weeks. I heard through my lawyer that he had hired his own legal counsel and was conducting his own investigation into Mom's finances and her relationship with Brant. He confirmed everything I had revealed, the depth of his wife's deception, spanning years and involving his friend. Hit him hard. Then I received a message from Dad, not through lawyers, but a direct text, hesitant, unlike his usual confident style. It was a sincere apology. He admitted he had been blind, weak, perhaps too focused on appearances. He acknowledged my integrity and courage in exposing the truth. He said he was devastated, but that I had done the right thing. My lawyer informed me that Dad had unilaterally changed his will. He was divorcing Mom, and his entire estate, including the house, once the financial entanglements from Mom's actions and the divorce were sorted, would now go solely to me. Chloe and Tom were explicitly disinherited. Dad saw clearly now who had been loyal and who had been manipulative. I agreed to meet Dad for lunch. It was awkward at first, sitting across from him, the unspoken years of his blindness and my silence between us. But he was different, humbler. He didn't make excuses for Mom or Chloe or Tom. He took responsibility for his own failure to see. We talked, not about the past betrayals, but about the future, about rebuilding a relationship based on honesty, however fragile it might be. 3 months have passed since the dinner. I'm comfortable in my new apartment. It's smaller than the family house, but it's mine, truly mine. Free from the weight of hidden agendas and expectations. My work is fulfilling. I'm finding peace and simple joys in my own space, on my own terms. I meet Dad for lunch regularly. We're slowly, carefully building a new relationship. He's dealing with the fallout of his divorce and the exposure of his wife's actions. But he seems lighter, in a way, freed from the lie. Sometimes the loneliness of my independent life hits me. I see families together, and there's a pang of sadness for the family I thought I had. But then I remember the overheard words, the cold calculations, the strategic tears, the shattered glass. My new life, while sometimes solitary, is authentic. It's built on truth and self-reliance. It's healthier than the suffocating facade of the past. My apartment has a large window overlooking the city. I often stand there, looking out. It's a new view, full of possibilities. I'm still an engineer, still measuring things. But now, I'm not just measuring stress tolerances or load-bearing walls. I'm measuring the strength found in breaking free, the space created by letting go of toxic relationships, and the limitless possibilities of a life built on your own terms, brick by careful brick. I might have accidentally opened a window and heard a terrible truth, but in the end, I opened a door to my own freedom. Looking back on everything, the years of support, the casual cruelty, the calculated plan to disinherit me, the exposure, and finally, the opportunity to build a new, albeit smaller family unit with my father. Given the deep betrayal by my mother, sister, and brother-in-law, and the fact that they only showed remorse when they faced consequences, do you think rebuilding a relationship with my father is enough to heal? Or should I have cut ties with him completely? 2. Given his initial blindness and complicity in allowing their behavior for so long? What would you have done?